Roger, you have an album called Electric Fire, but it doesn't have a track called Electric Fire. So why the title?
I just quite like it's just a straightforward pun, really, and well, it's double entendre, and the line actually does occur in a track called London Town, Come On Down. So it is actually used on the album, but it really, hopefully, it's fiery and it catches fire, whatever.
And there's the little logo that appears, the Electric Fire
yes,
logo.
I quite like. I'm rather fond of the old Electric Fire.
You obviously do like the idea of putting jokes in, and people either get them or don't.
Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do actually. Yeah.
When all those years ago, and it was some years ago, you started out with Queen, and you were thinking about becoming a famous band and selling lots of records and writing hit songs and the rest of it.
We were hoping to come.
Exactly. You could hardly have thought that one day one of your songs would be endorsed by the Devon and Cornwall Constabulary, but that's what's happened with some.
No, used to spend quite a lot of my time avoiding them actually, but having grown up around there. No, but I'm very pleased that they have actually.
We should explain that Surrender is about domestic violence.
Yes, absolutely. The track Surrender, which is actually the new single, been reworked by Chris Thomas, marvellous producer and a great guy. But that actual track is about domestic violence, and one of the police that running the anti-domestic violence campaign down there wrote to me and said, could they use the track? And I said, yes, of course. Obviously, the lyric got through, the meaning came across, which is I'm very pleased about. You've
never shied away from, inverted commas on, difficult, inverted commas off, subjects. I remember Nazis were not terribly radio-friendly records necessarily, but things you wanted to write about, wanted to sing about.
See, I never understood why it wasn't radio-friendly. There were no swear words or anything, and it did take a stance which was, I thought I thought the vast majority of people in this country were anti-Nazi. But no, they're so touchy these days. They seem to be, everybody's scared of everything. Everybody's scared of just saying what they really believe. And I'm in a very privileged position, and I suppose in some ways fairly unassailable because, I don't work for anybody, so for a start I can't be fired. So that's good. So I just feel, I'm not no spring chicken anymore. So I just feel like occasionally speaking my mind, and why not?
Why a song about domestic violence? Obviously, not all songs come from personal life, but experiences often trigger songs.
Well, I without going into any detail, I've certainly experienced a certain amount of domestic violence, and I do think it's a subject which is very prevalent. It's very widespread across this country and many others, I'm sure. And it's almost like incest. It's not talked about. It's get very much, and it's something to be sort of ashamed of, and it shouldn't be, because it should be exposed and talked about, and hopefully it should be a thing of the past, but certainly isn't at the moment.
It's written and sung from the woman's point of view, and she says at one point, you want a punch bag, not a wife. And I mean, domestic violence, DVU, domestic violence units in police forces, I know, say that for every case that comes to public attention, there are probably 50 or 100 that don't. It is one of the scandals of our age.
I think so, and the police are in a very difficult position as well, because it's not an easy thing to deal with. It's usually over by the time they get there. And how do they deal with it? And sometimes even the recipient of the violence wants it all sort of, no, let's not make a fuss. What will the neighbours think, whatever. So yeah, it's a very difficult subject. So I thought it's certainly worth a lyric.
Who surrenders? She doesn't. She runs away. She escapes. I think he's beaten. At the end of the song, he loses his manhood. For me, he's the one who's beaten.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly more poignant told from her perspective. And the thing was really meant to be a little bit open-ended. You don't know quite where she's gone to, she's either...
She's in the refuge, sure.
Hopefully, yeah, that's the optimistic way of looking at it, Or she's taken the ultimate way out, whatever. Leave that to the listener. But a lot of people do.
But there's the male kind of sigh at the end of a beaten boxer for me. It sounds like somebody's thrown the towel in.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't sure if that was the male being exasperated or sort of lost under comprehension and patience, or if it was her just sort of running, you know. So it's all a bit open-ended. But I mean, I think you can't tell a particular story. You've got to generalise and leave it to people's imagination to work on a bit, maybe.
I find it interesting that you do have that grasp of the steel fist inside the velvet glove, because it's a lovely melody. I mean, we've talked about the subject there, and it is heavyweight stuff. But like Crowded House, Steely Dan, lots of other pieces of music, you can hear and go dumpty 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 and whistle the tune, and then when you get underneath, there's a real kick in it. Yeah,
well, I think most tunes really aren't worth their salt unless they are whistleable. You know, a nice melody somewhere, it never goes astray, really. Yeah.
And on the album, one would get the impression that you don't think there's all that many nice melodies about nowadays.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not trying to say that.
I was thinking of the track "No More Fun."
Yeah, you're thinking of "No More Fun," which is really about, you know, like for instance, it's from the old farts perspective, really. Of, you know, like the old days in rock and roll, it used to be wild on the road. Nowadays, everybody's got a lawyer and a laptop, and it's not, you know, and they're all playing golf on their computers, and it's not quite the raucous fun it used to be, you know.
It's interesting that it starts
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Well, yeah, it starts from "Stairway to Heaven" to "The Laughing Gnome." It's a mighty long way down rock and roll, which reminded me very much of "All the Way to Memphis."
Well, it is. It's a direct quote from Ian Hunter,
which Brian May put on his solo album.
Yes, he did.
Are they by chance related?
No, but we're both great friends of Ian, and I know Brian and I always liked that song, and we remember it from being on tour with Mott the Hoople, and so it has a little special niche in our dual memory.
That was the only support you ever did.
That's right. Yeah, as far as I remember, yeah. And we learned a lot of them because they were a great live band. You know, they were a very exciting band, and I'm still friends with Ian. He occasionally comes and stays here. And
so, would you bring those? Would you go back? You know, this is the
no,
old.
Not
would you
really.
do it the same way?
Not really, because it's quite an old-fashioned song. That one. It's a straightforward rock and roll song. You know, it's a bit of Eddie Cochran in there, and it's a regressive song, I suppose. You know, retrogressive song.
Well, retro is quite big. Certainly, motorcycle design, which is the subject I'm interested in. You know, people love the 70s.
Yeah, and it's funny how a lot of the best design of the century really comes from like the 30s or 20s, 30s, even the 40s, and 50s very probably. What happened?
And you've collaborated is perhaps the wrong word with Nicholas Evans on a song about horse whispering. Now, is that only because you referred to the stuff in his book, or did he work with you on this song?
No, he didn't. What happened was, I love the book, actually, and way before the film was made, and I thought it was a great book, beautifully written, and I thought, I can't write lyrics better than some of the passages that are in the book, so I actually thought, I'm going to need to quote wholesale from those, and lift wholesale from little paragraphs there. So we contacted him, sent him the song, and he liked it and said, and I said, look, I'd be very, pleased if you shared the credits with me, and he was very happy to do that. And that's how that happened, really.
It's interesting musically as well. It starts off and it's very kind of spacey and touches of Santon Johnny in the guitar sound.
Well, I was trying to get Wyoming in, you know.
You know, it's interesting. I've written outdoor music.
Yeah, or Montana.
As a note, big country thing.
Exactly what it is, yeah.
And it seems to tie up from what I've already heard you say today about you're becoming more of a countryman and less of a city man.
That's right. I mean, I think having spent 25 years or whatever it was in studios, which are normally windowless, and hotel rooms, which often you can't open the windows or anything, and then stages and airplanes and trucks, vans, all that. I just sort of gradually got more and more in the last 10 years to the outdoors now, and I spend probably most of my time outdoors now, and either on a boat or skiing or in the country. You know.
Are you horsey at all?
No, my girlfriend is very horsey. I'm not. No, I don't trust the damn things.
No, they're
They
big,
haven't got
aren't
an
they?
engine.
But they're big enough to have, though, aren't
Yeah,
they?
well, yeah, they're very. You never know what they're thinking, what they're going to do.
So, in that kind of outdoor and country musical style, we, as Willie Nelson did say, back on the road again. And you are back on the road again. So you can't dislike what went before that much because you're going to do some more of it.
Segue. No, that's right. No, actually we did an internet show and a charity show just before Christmas and one-off gig in London. And the band which is on the record, the same band's on the record. The band was so good. I felt very relaxed. I got to play drums, I got to sing. I felt the shows went very well, and so I thought what fun it would be to just do a nice concentrated 3-week tour of the UK. And that's exactly what we're doing, really. I found it quite relaxing and very enjoyable.
The essential difference between doing a gig on the internet, where you can get a vast number of hits, but you don't see a face,
No.
and a gig is that, isn't it? That there isn't the contact.
It's quite odd. I mean, to make this sort of mental connection between playing a gig in front of 120 people in your barn and people sort of watching you on their computer in Kuala Lumpur is a big leap, you know, and so you're getting no feedback at all, really. But it was an interesting experiment, and I thought it sort of worked quite well for what it was. But it's not like playing to a proper sort of audience.
What about making music available on the internet? I mean, this could be the end of the catalogue.
I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure it'll be protected. There's too much money and property at risk, I think. But I'm sure the internet will play a major part probably in selling. I find it quite difficult to see exactly where it's going to be, but it hasn't sort of caught on quite yet as quickly as people thought. So I don't think it's reached its full thing. It's probably about 5% of what it's going to reach. I don't know, you know.
So you've played to 180,000 people in South America, and now you're going out...
A lot more than that,
and
actually,
more than
at
that.
times, yeah.
And now you're going out and doing 600-seaters, 800-seaters.
Yeah, it's anywhere between, I think the smallest is about 500 and the biggest is about 2,000. So.
Can you relate more easily to the audience when it is that many fewer of them?
Yes, I think so. I think perfect is about 1,500, 2,000. That's about the right perfect size, I think. I think you can. I mean, on the really big ones, it's just an amorphous mass, you know, like in the Rock in Rio things. I mean, we played to 600,000 people in 2 nights. It's just a massive, it's, you know, 15 acres of people. And there's an acre.
But you can't see beyond the front row anyway, can you?
Not really,
It's
no.
your mass,
It's just
as you
a
say.
mass,
Yeah.
just a mass. And whereas you can see individuals, you can play off individuals in a small theatre or something. And it's much easier to manage, you know, the sound, etc.
And this is now what you do. This is, you know, people ask you, well, why are you doing this? And the answer has to be, this is what I do.
That is the answer. This is what we do, yeah.
And
yeah.
you're presumably...
Well, we don't have to do it all the time, thank God, you know.
That's the advantage.
Yeah, that's the advantage, yeah. No, I mean, life's been very good to us, and long may it continue to be.
But you want to continue doing it that way? You're going to continue to write, record and play?
Yes, but at my own pace and with no pressure on. And oh God, pressure on, you see, look at that. Pun, cue for song.